So Kun Dwangthip, today you are at this panel discussion. The title is just behind us, Of Good and Evil of Social Network. So in your opinion, what is the good side of the social network and what is the bad side of the social network?
Okay, well, this will be a personal view. I think the social network is actually a positive force in society. Even though we hear a lot of news about the negative side of social network. Now, why I say this? Well, first of all, here in Bangkok, we are actually, the city is actually the capital of Facebook. So I am a believer where if something is well adopted, and this is voluntary adoption, everybody decides that they want to use the Facebook to connect with people to do that, private business or their or their commercial business. But they choose to do it on Facebook and other social networks shows that it is actually benefiting the people. So I think from that perspective, social network is actually good. Now, some of the stories I hear about social networks that have been a positive force is, for example, we call crowdsourcing.
Crowdsourcing, okay.
Right, and a very good example is in India, in a small city where there were a lot of traffic problems. And there were a lot of problems with traffic because there were illegal parking all over the streets. So the people in that city were very...
Like in Bangkok, actually, okay.
Yes, they're very tired of the traffic situation and the fact that in that particular city, the traffic police are probably inundated. They are just overwhelmed with, with what they have, that they are not actually able to do enough. So someone from the community decided to use the social network to do what we call crowdsourcing. They basically started taking photos of all the illegal parking in the city and posted it on the police station's website. And the police were then able to then follow up on these illegal parking cases. And in less than, I think in less than 1 or 2 weeks, there were no traffic problems in that area anymore, simply because people decided to help by using social network. And there are many more stories like this, not just in Asia, in Africa and in Latin America, where social network, in a very innovative way, can actually be a positive power to society. Now, the negative social network stories that I've heard is usually very few. And these stories, of course, are quite serious. For instance, when it relates to children, or if it relates to certain type of crimes, that you allowed it to happen because social network was like a window for them to find their victim. So from that perspective, there are a lot of criticism in the news as well as from people. The concerns that social network is too open, and that's why there are all these funny things happening, and these problems are now so-called the evils in society. So when I hear this type of stories, or when I'm allowed to, for instance, present in this panel of discussion, what I try to tell people is this, is that first of all, the internet and the social network is just a reflection of the society. It's a mirror. If you want to have a good society, you need to actually do something about it in a productive way. And I think society as a whole are good people. There are more good people than there are bad people. If not, we would not have a good, a place where we can live in harmony. So I think the parents, schools, educators, policymakers, businesses, and everyone in society needs to come together and decide, perhaps to come up with a framework of what are the ethical behaviors online using the social network that can actually help address some of these issues where there are inappropriate postings on the social networks, or or even if it's almost criminal type of behavior on the social networks, that these would not be allowed, that this would somehow be managed. So I think society needs to be educated about social network. Children, people who are on the social network need to understand that it is a safe place, but there are also not nice people in this world, and you also need to know that they have access to social networks. So we can't be naive. We have to be well aware and take the necessary steps. So Internet Society's role is also to promote education, what we call digital footprint. Every time you go onto the internet, or every time you go online, that you have a risk that there are people who can trace you, track you, or take information about you without your permission. So what I propose in this panel discussion is also that the schools and parents also need to be educated, so that they can educate their children and their friends on responsible social networking.
Does Internet Society has anything to do with regulating the content on the internet, or is this an area that your organization will be interested in at all, in terms of regulating content on the internet?
Well, Internet Society, as I mentioned earlier, we basically developed the internet architecture and the whole network basically from the beginning. Now, we believe that the internet is the tool for communication and innovation. So what moves in the internet is not our business. Okay? So we do not believe in regulating the content, because content is very subjective. When we built the internet, the network itself has a very secure network, meaning that even if you are sending information from here A to B, nobody can actually go into the network and see what your content is. So in that way, we built the internet so that there is security. So whatever you send, there is no discrimination. So even if you are from Africa, you want to send to US or to Asia, we will not discriminate the traffic or the type of media that you're using, and we do not also discriminate the type of users that you are. So the principles behind the internet is basically that it is net neutral. So that net neutrality principle allows everyone to have equal access and free to access at any time, from anywhere.
Okay.
So we do not believe in regulating content.
Yeah, I'm very interested in your presentation at the panel when you talk about the future of the internet. Could you tell us a bit what will happen to the world of internet in the next few years, and whether that happening will have any impact on the social network?
Okay. Now, usually the Internet Society is not in the business of predicting the future.
But you are talking about the next step of the
Right.
technology. Yeah.
Right. So what we can share is basically what are the emerging technologies that is already coming, which we can see like in the next few years. So one of them, which I mentioned earlier, is the WebRTC, or
RTC.
Web Real-Time Communication.
Real-time communication. Okay.
So our standards group, which is the IETF, and the World Wide Web, W3C, we're working together to come up with the standards for WebRTC. So WebRTC basically means that how we use the internet, and including how we access the web for all the things that we use today, will change completely. It will mean that, excuse me, it will mean that you will have end-to-end or peer-to-peer communication. Now, at present, when you connect into the internet or the web, it is not truly peer-to-peer communications. So with a WebRTC, it will be, a very peer-to-peer communications, which means that you will be able to have access to another person on the internet or on the web seamlessly and with less, with less latency. And the other aspect of WebRTC is also that there will be different types of services that you can have on the WebRTC that you cannot have today. So for instance, if you are shopping online today on the internet and you wanted to buy, say, a shirt that you like, so you go to a website that sells shirt, you choose a shirt that you like, and then you click that you want this shirt. And then another window pops up, which is basically your financial or your banking transaction, which usually is PayPal or Visa, whatever. And then you have to interact with another web or another proxy before you can actually close the transaction. So on a WebRTC, what happens is that you don't have to have that. You go straight into the website, you click onto that shirt, and you can order it immediately because you will transact with the supplier who will also have, you will also have your financial information transacted directly to him and not through third party or fourth party.
So you can pay directly to that shop or that department store or that
using your your credit card or whatever. So so what that means basically, there is a direct communication between the buyer and the seller, which is more secure. And this will also change how you will transact on on the web or on the internet. In the future, suppose you wanted to learn something online like e-learning, you can do that directly on the website. You do not have to go to enroll in one website and then listen later on WebEx or on some other
I guess it will become much faster and more efficient in the way that you
well, it's probably a
communicate on the internet.
Right. Yes, basically it simplifies how you interact on the internet and the web. So we can't be sure exactly how this will all turn out because we haven't seen all the new services and innovation. But we expect that it's going to be very, very interesting and very exciting because we are almost saying that now a user can define what he wants or chooses to do on the web or the internet without necessarily waiting for service providers to provide those services first. You decide what you want to do with it.
Can you add just a few sentences on if this really happened, this real-time communication, would that have any impact on the social network?
Probably it will, but we don't know for sure how. We know for sure that this technology will allow you to integrate video and voice and all the multimedia. And if you're able to do that and you have social network where if you're able to connect with people, I think you can do so much more on WebRTC with social networks. No one has actually figured out yet what that looks like. So even I am waiting to see if there's going to be a prototype coming out that actually looks at this. But my personal feeling is probably it will also have an impact on social networks.
I would imagine something like if I'm chatting with a friend. Now you have the webcam or something like he can see my face, but with this new technology, maybe I can show something, even show
you don't need a webcam.
You
don't need a webcam. That's one. Yeah.
So but you need some camera, right?
Well, what will usually happen is that when you want to talk to someone, what you do is they'll have an icon. You just click on the icon and you can actually talk to the person directly. So you don't have to do dial-up or whatever like Skype or anything like that. It will be much better.
I'm thinking about that I might be able to show even when I'm talking to that person online, I can show while I'm talking, I can also show a video clip
Yes,
at the
you-
same time,
exactly,
something
yes,
like that.
yes.
I was thinking.
So if you were doing something and you were talking and you were you were texting and you want to send video and you want to sing, you can do that real time with that person seeing you. Whereas in the past, you can only maybe do one or two things, right?
Yeah.
So yes.
So that is quite exciting to see, and that
Okay.
might happen very soon.
Well, one thing that I can tell you that WebRTC will have a huge benefit for Thailand and for Asia is e-medicine or e-healthcare that Thailand is trying to develop. And basically it's the 30 baht for all, right, program. Now with the WebRTC, what happens is that you don't have to build so many hospitals anymore, because some of the specialists or doctors in certain cities can actually interact directly with the patient. The patient does not have to come to the hospital. And you can consult the doctor directly on WebRTC, and also at the same time the doctor can also refer to the medical history of the patient who may be in a different hospital at the same time. So yes, WebRTC will have profound impact on a lot of the services, including government services. We talk about cloud government. I think with WebRTC, the citizens will now be able to interact with the government much easier.
Okay. We have learned a lot about what is Internet society, and also about the future of the Internet. It seems to be quite exciting, and I believe that the new technology on the Internet will benefit the people in overall. Today, I and the Biz would like to thank Kun Dwangtip very much for joining our program, and hope to have Kun Dwangtip with us again in the very near future. ขอบคุณมากนะครับ
ขอบคุณค่ะ